what is next for you, this is the perfect topic for you. So you can connect with us and watch the shows on Facebook, Instagram. Now you can download the apps on your iPhone and Android. Remember, we are WCEG Network, the worldwide community that provides information to the community and benefit community with our platform. Before we start our show, I want to make an announcement. So all the Medicaid recipients have to register for the benefits before May 2024. And you can go to the website to www.gateway.ga.gov. Medicaid, Peace Care for Kids. If you receive these benefits, it is very important you register again, okay? And I'm going to repeat this information at the end of the show so you cannot lose and miss this information. Okay, and so we're ready to begin. Remember, all the comments, opinions are not responsibility for WCEG Network. And we have three wonderful ladies today, and I would like to start with Pauline Mansfield. And opening the conversation is, what is the historic event that made you shape yourself, your mindset?
You know, I thought that was such an interesting question. And I was thinking back, way back, when I was in high school, we had a president who had such an extraordinary presence, and that was John Kennedy. And I will never, ever forget the very day he was killed. I was in my 5th period class, and it was a very gray day. And the announcement came on the overhead that we were all to go back to our homerooms. And our homeroom teacher told us all, and we were devastated because this was a president who was very young, he was very vibrant, and it was the first time in my life that I ever connected with someone outside of my community, outside of my family, who meant so much to us because he had very young ideas. He was very progressive. He was very in tune with the community, with community of the lesser, of people who had less. He encouraged us to exercise, and we would get out and walk for miles because our president said that. We had high regard for our president at that time. And so that ride home on the bus that day, and it was my dad's birthday, November 22nd. I cried all the way home. And that day changed everything about how I looked at the world through the eyes of a young person looking at the leaders of the world and people who would do something like that. And it changed my entire way of thinking. I was more in tune with what was going on in the world. I mean, I had a couple of years to go before I went to college, but it had an impact that has lasted to this day. It has shaped so much of how I view the world and how this world can be, and still is, unfortunately, sadly, very cruel, very uncaring, and how some people see things through different eyes that I could never connect with. So I was glad you asked that question.
Yeah, I think it's always very important. I think events, even words, change your mind and change the way you are acting on the moment, or, you know, make your reflection in what direction you're going. So it is very important, and I think those kind of events mark you in some way and make you act and react differently, in life.
I want to add too that it also made my parents look at me differently. They thought we were carefree, mindless teenagers that had no connection with anything but ourselves. So my mother was very shocked that it meant so much to me, not only to me, but everybody in my circle that I knew. So I think my parents then looked at me differently, like maybe she's more grown than we think she is.
That's good. And Patricia, tell us about you.
Good morning. Good morning. I will have to say, Pauline, that one is etched in my mind as well. But I want to swing it just a little bit differently because I wrestle with, because I have so many events. I was leaving work on my lunch break when 9/11 happened. And when I first heard I turned on NPR because that is my station. And first I thought it was a joke. I thought it was just one of those. I didn't listen to a lot of stations away from NPR, but I honestly didn't think it was real. But the one thing that I want to talk about, I don't want to talk about 9/11 so much, but the thing that has really changed my life, I think, and it was going to happen, and that is computing. When I was in high school, I remember my math teacher asking the class, just casually, what do you want to do? I was a senior. What do you want to do when you grow, when you go to college or whatever you're going to do? What's your next step? So I wanted, at that time, it was data processing. Now, that's been many, many years ago. And I'm sure Ramona doesn't know the word data processing, and our other guest doesn't know anything about data processing, but that was it. So I came to Atlanta. I'm from a small rural town in Georgia. So I came to Atlanta, attended school, and worked in different areas of computing. The first job that I had was with the borough's computers. And I was a sorter, and what that was it was a monstrosity machine that I processed checks for First National Bank. That was my entry into data processing. I didn't really know what it was, but moving forward, because I want to speed the conversation a little bit longer, it was just ingrained in me to stay with computers. And as a matter of fact, I retired 35 years with IBM. That was a dream that I had. I don't know where it all came from. I still am wondering, where did all that come from? Because I didn't do a lot of reading on computing, and we didn't have a lot of topics. I guess just that little bit of introduction intrigued me wherever I got it from. So I think about the first time I touched a computer, the first time I touched a mainframe, and you'll have to catch up with me. The mainframe was the big brain of desktops, and companies use mainframes, and that was IBM's money getter for many years. And then we moved into desktops and laptops, and I don't know if you remember the word peanut, but that was IBM's first computer. That was the first desktop. So at any rate, I have grown through the generations of computing, and now we are at a point where if you make a doctor's appointment, what do you have to do? You have to use your computer to make the appointment. You have to use your computer to get your results. You have to use your computer for so many different things. And now with the generation that's working now, they have no connection to what was, but I truly appreciate the journey. I appreciate in the beginning and where we are now. with, I mean, can you move without a cell phone?
No.
There's so many parts of our lives that are intricately connected to. I mean, we're reading on devices now when a book was the only way
Yeah.
you got the information. So we get our news, we get our information. So I'm looking at our next guest that is smiling because, you know, I could spend a whole week talking about the different growth spurts within computing. And it didn't start with the people that you know now, and I won't throw out any names, I won't throw out any companies, but the journey has been truly, truly fascinating for me.
Interesting.
Thank you, Patricia. Inés, por favor, déjanos saber.
Primero quiero responder a lo que ha dicho.
Ujú.
Miss Patricia, am I saying it right? Miss Patricia?
Correct. Uh-huh.
I think I'm older than you think I am. But I do understand because now I love reading. So I love trying to get kids to read, but the only way I can get them to do it is if it's on a screen because I have like a huge collection of books. Like for fun, I go to the library. Like
Mhm.
I even wrote a book. So like for me, I love books, the physical books, but I also was born at the time before text messages, right when like the little cell phones came in. So like the transition from beepers to cell phones. So I've gotten to see the transition and I enjoy where we are now, but I understand I am appreciative of the journey. So now that they have access to everything instantly, it's different when you had to wait for stuff. Pero ahora voy a empezar en español a responder a la pregunta. El evento histórico más importante para mí fue antes de mi nacimiento.
Ujú.
Fue, ¿cómo se dice? La Declaración de la Libertad de Abraham Lincoln para la gente esclavizada.
Sí.
Y mi abuelo, el abuelo de mi abuelo, pues es mi tetrabuelo.
Ajá. Sí.
Mi tetrabuelo fue esclavizado y impactó la manera de pensamiento que tuvo la gente antes de mí.
Ujú.
Pues por el pensamiento de mi tetrabuela, no podría creer lo que estoy haciendo en este momento. Yo
Ujú.
fui a la universidad, tengo unos diplomas y voy a tener más, pero yo puedo trabajar en cualquier cosa que quiero. Yo puedo trabajar con gente de todo el mundo y de perspectivas diferentes. Y me impactó el trabajo de mis tetraabuelos y antes de ellos. Me impactaron
Sí.
me impactaban porque ahora quiero hacer lo que puedo porque mis nietos van a creer, no pueden no puedo creer lo que van a hacer mis nietos. Pues es importante que yo trabajo con los grupos diferentes, los dueños de negocios, quienes son negritos, quienes son la gente hispanohablante, quienes son la gente sorda. También tengo amigos quienes son dueños de negocios, son ciegos. Y es importante que trabajamos juntos porque si esperamos no vamos a tener los resultados que nuestros hijos y nietos necesitan. Pues
Ujú.
voy a cambiar. So
Sí.
the most important event for me historically was the Emancipation Proclamation. I'm not sure what the real words are in English right now. But when Abraham Lincoln did help with setting our people free.
Mhm.
Recently I learned from my grandfather's book, when my grandfather passed away earlier this year, his name was Reverend White. R.L. White. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but he was such a huge figure for me. And so his grandfather was a slave. So it's only a few generations back that was enslaved. And my grandfather fought his whole life to make progress, and he did. And now what happened with the Emancipation Proclamation is still impacting us today because it's only been 160 years. And so now we're still fighting for our kids to not get killed in the street. We're still fighting for people to not get deported, even though they lived here their whole lives. We're still fighting for the people that are in the deaf community to get access to regular qualified interpreters on the news. We have so many people thinking it's a joke, and it's unfortunate because they need help, and we need help, and all of our communities need help. So those events, from Abraham Lincoln, impacted how I work today, because I want my grandkids to not have to have these same problems. And I know I only have a 2-year-old daughter right now, but one day she's going to grow up, and I want her to see my life as like ancient in the sense of we no longer behave in that way. We no longer carry hate between our different cultures within our community, because none of us asked to be Black, none of us asked to be deaf, none of us asked to be whatever it is that the world wants us to feel bad about. And I believe that now, if we start working together more than before, we have access to, you already talked about IBM and how history has been for computing. And you talked about how the president has had such an impactful influence. Like, to me, I might get in trouble for saying this, but to me, if we had a Black woman president and not a Black, a Latina, or somebody who actually understands what it is to solve this country's problems because they care, not because of money, not because of politics, we could actually change the world. Because we've been cleaning up this country's mess for longer than 160 years.
That's very true. And that is the importance of these kind of questions, because it is important to remove our memories, to remove the history, because it's how we build. And, like Enesse is a young woman. We all are young women, but, through our lives, we've been changing our environment, and we've been spreading our knowledge and let the new generations know what, the way we live, what we have been learning, and what we have been keeping in ourselves. Because I have seen, it's incredible to see adults, young children growing just without directions, without any history, without any roots. And it's a mess. It is a mess. But when, somebody come and start talking, and this person start putting attention, they start motivating themselves. They start just thinking, I think if I stop going this way and I start putting attention to these persons, and also to, just putting attention and remembering my oldest, and remembering what I did, how my oldest live, and what has been changing myself in negative way, probably I can change, and I can, rebuild, renew myself. And that's why it's very important, history events. And I have one question. Before all these events, I know Enesse, you have your memories and your events from the past, but for before the events, how was your mindset? What changed on you before these events, or how you was before these events?
For me?
Pau- Yes, we start with Pauline.
Oh, how was I before? I was a carefree before the event I described. I was
Yes.
a very carefree teenager. You know, our focus was FUN, fun. I came from a very small community, very tight knit. My little community was 5 miles long and probably 3 miles wide, still is. Everybody knew each other. Everybody's mother was your mother. Every young person was your sister, your brother. It was just extremely tight knit. It was all about us. And I can't remember, it's been a long time, but I can't remember a gloomy day really growing up in that teeny community because we were very insulated. So we felt very protected. Even as a small Black community, we were insulated from the negative stuff that was probably not that too far removed from us. But our parents, grandparents, neighbors created for us a wonderful environment that it saddens me that a lot of people don't have anymore. Community, village, neighborhood meant something really different then. So, you know, before that very significant event, and there were civil rights things just beginning. That was 1963. It was just beginning. So we would see a little bit of it on TV, but it didn't affect my everyday. So before that event, you know, I felt like I was living in a little bubble, really. And that was eye-opening. That was extremely eye-opening for me.
Yeah. It's just a completely change of periods of life, but also on the history. And I think, it is very important. I still remember, when I was little or when I was young in Mexico, I think when there is a change in one part of the world, there is a change in every part of the world. So for me, I remember exactly what you say. Before all these events, we care more. We do, I remember going to buy tortillas by myself and my mom, so Cantibo giving my money, go to 2 blocks away for the tortillas and the store, and nothing happened. But after these events happen, you cannot trust. Your parents become more protective, more insecure. And it's sad. It's very sad the way how lives have been changing because these events. But, I think we still have to work to back a little bit more on that. Sadly, I think we still have to work a lot. But, God gonna let us know. And Patricia, tell me, before these events, how was your life? How was you?
I have to do a lot of compartmentalizing because, you don't really think about how events affect you until, way down the road or something like that. But I look at how children are, what they're going through now. And again, I was a carefree kid and I thought the rest of the world lived just like I did, which was in a protective bubble. And that is so far from the truth. And so what we have to really do is tell our stories, make them come alive, and let other people, not just children, know what it was then, what it is now, and what it can and should be as we move forward. I think it's really a not really an abomination, but I think we owe it to the next generation, if you will, in my case, to really share our stories of how things used to be, because that's important. What was it like to not be able to pick up a remote control and see everything in the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly? What was it like to not be to be bombarded by a lot of noise? You know, we have come to a point where we accept so much and we ask fewer questions because we do not want our lives interrupted by negativity. So we just go along to get along. How many times have you been to the grocery store? And if you're not careful, the news, talking to other people can scare you to death and you won't leave home. But we need to, I think, tell our stories and be more positive and do more work in the community and really just share the good along with the bad. Some things are not quite as bad as you think they are, because I look at the younger generation, and if you just listen to one outlet, you think all is bad and everything it's not gonna be like it used to be. Well, it's not supposed to remain like it used to be. We're supposed to continue to grow and to share and to really help each other make these different strides. So wherein I remember, I also enjoy the learning part of moving forward. When I talk about computing, I remember when I sat down to write a story, it was on a pad and a pen. But trust me, I truly enjoy using my computer to do that, because it helps me with my thinking. It helps me with my organizing. I have to tell you a story. I have 2 grandchildren and and another one on the way. The 2 little ones that are 7 and 6. So that's what, first grade and kindergarten, actually. I think that's right. But anyway, they're learning to write. So to my surprise, I received an email last night. Now tell me what grandmother does not enjoy receiving an email, the first one. So what should I do with that first email, Pauline? And that is journal it.
Yes.
Because it was a real feeling of growth. And I can feel that. Ramona, you'll feel the same thing in a few years. You'll get your first email and you'll wonder, now, where did that come from? And so much of what I put into them, the parents put into them, their schools put into them. So I think it's really important that we all support each other and realize that growth is about not forgetting, but passing that information on and growing from there. But so we've got some good things, we've got some bad things, and I know that we can do better, but we just have to help each other make those different leaps, because that's what it is. It's a leap. So when we have problems, we should feel comfortable, Pauline, and we have our own little communities. We do. We still have our own community. So we have to reach out to each other and really let other people know, what is it that you need? How can I help you? You want me to do what? And you figure it out together. But yes, I do miss the tight community. But that was a period in my life that I know that my parents worked hard to get. But so things are gonna get better, and I do think that we need to support. And Enesse, did I say your name correctly?
Yes.
The minority president leaders, we do have to support those efforts, because I do think that there are some things that we need to do that only the people that have experienced it can really push it forward. I'm on board with that.
Thank you, Patricia. Inez.
I want to continue off of what she was saying. That first email, so there's a show, you might know it, but I'm not going to say the name. So there's a show where when I was a kid, they were writing letters on the show, and then every time the mailbox would come, you would see that they just got a letter. And so we showed my daughter the new version of the show, and they said, we got an email. And I was like, what? They get emails now? I was like, what's next? Are they getting text messages and DMs or something? So I think that's really cute that your grandchild sent you the first email at that.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yes.
print that one, frame it, and then have them sign it. Like, so then it's around, and then like you can see the growth as they grow in writing.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I love it. You said journaling. I'm a journaler. Pero para mí, el evento que describe antes fue la proclamación, fue antes de mi vida, pero durante mi vida, el movimiento de Black Lives Matter, antes no fue a free child, una niña libre, pero no tenía el miedo que tenía después de lo que pasó cuando Zimmerman mató a Trayvon Martin. Cambió mi perspectiva porque Trayvon Martin y yo teníamos casi la misma edad. Y yo fue el año primero de aprender español. Y es como recuerdo, cambió todo porque él le gustaba llevar los hoodies como yo. Y me encanta, yo tengo una colección de hoodies, tengo más que 30. Y en este momento cambió todo para mí porque no podría llevar la ropa que me gusta a caminar a la tienda porque mi piel, algo que no puedo controlar, que alguien no le gusta, no podría entender porque todavía el racismo es un problema. So
Yeah.
for me, what happened with Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, that he was in my age range. So like he was either a year younger or a year older than me. And that was the first year that I began learning Spanish. So that's one, like it happened at the same time as something else important was happening. And it changed my perspective because I have brothers. I love my family, and the fact that my friends or me could lose our lives on the way to the store just because we have our skin that we didn't ask for, just because were wearing clothes that make us feel comfortable, because someone else feels uncomfortable looking at us enjoying our lives. They have the power. It changed my life because I don't think we can continue that. And I know for a fact I'm going to do whatever I can so that we don't have to. That's why I work with world changers. That's why I work with business owners and families and young people, because we have the power to shift. You were talking about it's our duty for the next generation. We have to include them, like you said. So we take the knowledge that is already been acquired and use that and move forward and grow, but grow together, because a lot of people can grow, but even in a couple, two people can grow, but they can grow apart. And we've already grown apart as a community, as a global community. We've already grown apart. So now it's about time for us to try something new and grow together.
That's very true. And I think that these questions make us, and I hope make to reflection all the public, the persons that are watching this program, because we have four different perspectives. For me, the event that changed my mindset was the financial crisis in Mexico in 1995. That wake me up and make me think, so now what am I gonna do next? In the 1995, I was working in a library bookstore, And then they fired me because they didn't have any profits anymore. And it made me think, so now what I'm gonna do next? I spent 2-3 months looking for a job in my town, and I couldn't find anything. So it's a long story, but it made me wake me up and think, so I have to move on. I have to think differently. I have to change the strategy for most of the people. And, my soul, it was nice solution, but it was, like something that come into my life that changed everything. And I meet my husband, and then I come to the United States. Then, I say, I have to move on. I have to lose the fear. I have to change. I have to move place. Whatever happens, I have to move on because I cannot stay here and repeat the life for my parents, repeat the life for my, oldest. And just think that, like every one of us say, just change the future for the generation, change the future for my generations, let a strong legacy to my children, to my grandchildren. And thanks God, I came to United States, and I'm changing not only the life of my children, my grandchildren, but also the people around me. And that became my purpose. And that was my change mindset and my change me. And passing all of this, I think it has been very beneficial, and I really hope the audience can get our stories, can remove the history events for themselves, and find a way, find the guidance. The young generations, listen, just spend 5 minutes listening. You can find many interesting things, many interesting advices, and you never know, you can find a new turn out in your life. You can find your future, your future in all the sense. So I have a question. I know Enesse is an author. Pauline is an author and writer. And I would like to know, we know, but Patricia, you are an author. Do you have, I know you write, but you have books published?
Thanks for that question, Ramona. What I have is I participated for probably 3 or 4 years with a group, and we wrote and presented every month short stories. And this was an online LinkedIn group. And what we did was, it was kind of interesting because it got me into writing, and I was looking for a group that would more or less push me and propel me beyond what I already knew. And so we published every month, and we would have winners, and there were no losers. Everybody was a winner, but you would get your little story recognized. So what the author of that did was she collected stories from all of us and published them, and you can still get them on Amazon. So I have probably participated in 2 of those online publications, and I do have publications that way. But I want to tell you this, one of the first publications I had was in a trade magazine, and it was, I don't really remember the exact title, but I remember the exact story that I wrote, and it was called The Metamorphosis of I think it was a secretary or something like that. And what I did was kind of interesting. I think I still have a copy of that, and that was many, many years ago. And the other thing that I have done is I have submitted articles to newspapers. I had one classmate of mine that finished high school at this was a high school that was started by the Presbyterians, and it was called Boggs Academy. And for me, growing up in a small town, Box Academy was like way off somewhere, but it was only 60, 75 miles from my hometown. So she finished there and she finished Spelman and some other things that she accomplished. So I called her one day and I asked her, does she mind if I wrote an article about her and published it in the local newspaper, which was my hometown. So she was excited. I was excited. So I have that as well. But so I've done newspaper, magazines, and short stories. And I also published alone a Christmas story on Amazon. But I have since yanked that back so I could rewrite it. And my goal is to republish it this year. I say that every year, but I'm going to do it this year. So yes, I do have publications. You know, one of the things about, and this may be damaging to new writers, but I do say this, make sure that, and you didn't ask me for the advice part, but I'm good at that. And that is, your name is associated with everything you write.
Mhm.
So whatever you print, make sure it's what you want to represent you. And I'm afraid that I have put stuff out there that I've felt as if, oh, this is not my best work. So I know that's another show for another time, but it is. But that's why I'm hesitating. And Pauline has asked me this many times. So why haven't you published your book? Why haven't you published your book? Because I think I have built up this fear of being perfect.
Mhm.
Mm.
And in writing, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
It really isn't. But yes, I do have publication titles to my name.
That's great. And look, right now we don't have so much time because I would like to, give the message in Spanish. But I'm gonna ask you, our producer Penny gonna put, we're going into Facebook Live. If you see the publication, please put your the name of your publication, your books, and also where people can buy, can find for them. So I know, Enesse, you have something quickly. Can you?
I was talking about something earlier when you were talking about the financial crisis in Mexico. I just think that it's interesting how much this country brags about the U.S. brags about the American dream, but makes it so hard to achieve for people who come here from other places who want to achieve it. So I was just
Yeah, many stories, many situations in our countries, and not only in our countries, in United States, many challenges, personal challenges, and all of these guide us also to mental health, how you deal with mental health, historic events, recent events, and how you deal your emotions, how your mindset changes after an event, and how these events influence yourself to change, to rebuild yourself, to renew, to begin from the bottom, because many of the times persons, fall completely and have to change, have to rebuild. So it is very important to go back into yourself, to go back into your roots, advance, change, accept change. It's a very good example on the event that influenced you, Patricia, because even right now, I'm talking by myself. Even right now, I prefer a notebook and a pen. And I know I have to move on, but I think the way everyone learn, the way everyone feel comfortable in the level of learning and teaching too. But you have to accept change. You have to move on, because if not, you're gonna stay, on the bottom. You're gonna stay way back from other people. And right now we cannot allow us to stay back. We have to move on and advance. you know, and thank you so much. And yes, probably not this year because, you know, the ending of the year is coming so fast, but I'm gonna make a continuation of this show because I think we need to put out our stories, our advices, because it's history, you know, it's something that I remember all the time listening people older than me, and I'm still have those advices, I'm still have those words, I'm still have those ways to do things, ways, you know, to say things from those persons, and it's invaluable. It's something that you keep so much your whole life. So thank you so much again. And I'm gonna repeat the information I provide at the beginning of this program for the people who have Medicaid and Peach Care for Kids. So it's very important you register for your benefits before May 2024. And you can go to the website www.getaway is GATEWAY.GA.gov as in Victor. So it's very important if you receive these benefits, go and register again. So let me translate in Spanish. Buenos días a todos. Muchas gracias a nuestra audiencia hispana latina que nos está mirando este sábado. Tengo un anuncio importante que hacer para las personas que son recipientes de Medicaid y de Peach Care para niños. Por favor, se necesitan registrar antes de mayo del 2024 y pueden ir a la página www. Así como se oye, gateway.ga.gov. Pueden ir allí y registrarse para que puedan renovar sus servicios de los servicios Medicaid y Peach Care para niños. Bueno, y pasando a otras cosas, el tema de hoy fue muy importante y creo que es importante tomar un valor grande a las palabras de las personas que nos están guiando hoy, dejándonos saber sus historias, dejándonos saber cómo por el paso de la historia, los eventos históricos han marcado la vida de ellos, han cambiado su perspectiva de la vida, han cambiado la manera de vivir que ellos tienen. Hoy tenemos a Pauline Mansfield, ella es una autora. El evento que a ella la marcó fue la muerte de John F. Kennedy. Y fue por el estilo de vida que tenía ella en su niñez, cuando ella iba creciendo, la seguridad que le daba antes de que pasaran estos eventos y cómo cambió después de eso. La seguridad, los padres se volvieron más inseguros, más protectivos, y eso es importante. Durante el tiempo pasamos todos muchos eventos que nos hacen reflexionar sobre nuestra vida y cambiar nuestro pensamiento. Tenemos a Patricia Lovett. Ella es una escritora, también una profesional de la tecnología y cómo fue importante ella transicionar sobre la tecnología, sobre solo una libreta, un lápiz y después ir a las computadoras, a un mundo total y diferente en computadora y ser una profesional y cómo el cambio la marcó a ella para su vida profesional y personal también. Tenemos a Enesse, una mujer muy joven. Ella es autora, ella también trabaja con personas de negocios, ella habla español, habla inglés, es mamá. Y cómo sus raíces la han transformado a ella y hacer que su vida cambie y ahora también cómo está cambiando, cómo está moldeando la vida de su hija. Entonces, todos estos eventos y nosotros, nosotras como personas, como mujeres, nos han hecho cambiar los eventos históricos. Yo los animo a todos ustedes a remover entre sus memorias qué es lo que los ha hecho cambiar a ustedes. ¿Cuáles eventos son los que han marcado su vida, que los han forzado o los han motivado a cambiar, a ser mejores? Y si todavía están en esa transición, los animo a que escuchen nuestras plataformas, a que escuchen la vida de otras personas, los problemas que otras personas han tenido y cómo han salido adelante. Abran su corazón, abran su mente a nuevas cosas. Eso ayuda mucho. Atrévanse a vivir cosas que nunca han vivido. Atrévanse a hacer lo que muchas personas no hacen, porque eso cambia tu vida. Eso te da valor, pero también le da valor a tus hijos, a todas las personas alrededor de ti. Y es algo invaluable. Y cuando tú creces y tú miras el cambio en tus hijos, en otras personas, es invaluable. Es algo como si te sacaras la lotería y dices, por fin cambié la vida de mis hijos, por fin mis nietos van a vivir diferente a lo que yo viví. Y Pauline, Mansfield, Patricia, Lovett, Enesse, yo les agradezco mucho que hayan estado conmigo. Vamos a hacer una continuación de este programa porque siempre es interesante dejar nuestra historia fuera, no guardarla, no morirnos y llevarnos nuestra historia. Soy una persona que cree que debemos ser transparentes y dejarles saber a las personas lo que pasamos, lo que vivimos, porque no es fácil, y así podemos cambiar a las personas, podemos cambiar el sentimiento de las personas. Entonces, atrévanse a vivir, vuelvan a su pasado, vuelvan a sus raíces, porque eso les va a dar una puerta abierta a otro mundo diferente. Les agradezco mucho a toda nuestra audiencia hispana, latina, y los animo a vernos otra vez el siguiente mes con un nuevo tópico y nuevos invitados. Muchas gracias. Pauline, Patricia, Enesse, thank you so much for being here. It has been an enlightening topic. Thank you for being open to let us know your story, to tell us, give us your advices, because I'm telling you, for my experience, listening experiences have been changed my life, and I've been taking examples and I have been implementing in my life, and it is why I'm here. Thank you so much. And de nada.
Thank you.
Okay. And remember, always remember, we are WCEG Network. We are a platform for the community. Please watching us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Now download the applications on your iPad, and your Android. So we have a lot of platforms. We have a lot devices. Now you can see us and repeat our shows. You can communicate to our direct page, to WCEG Network. Give us your opinions. Give us your what you want to the next topic be with us. And let us know. And if you want to participate in our program, please communicate with us so we can, we can put out yourself, your information, your name, and your face. Okay, thank you so much. And have a good day. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.